when we talk about the respiratory system, okay, common sense, no, its function is for respiration. And when we say respiration, it's the exchange of gases, okay? And we explained as early as your botany that, okay, breathing is very important, respiration is very important, taking in of oxygen is very important because this gas is needed in cellular respiration, okay, which aims to produce ATP because ATP is the currency of the cell. So in terms of types of respiration, so we have the direct type of respiration. So when you say direct type of respiration, there is a direct exchange of gases between the organism and the environment. And there is, in the direct type of respiration, there is an exchange, direct exchange of gases between the environment and the organism. Okay, so that's the direct type. Very simple, very self-explanatory. Now, in the indirect type of respiration, okay, there are two phases. Okay, so you have internal respiration and external respiration. Okay, okay, in the external respiration, so you say external, okay, this happens where? Of course, this happens in the lungs. Okay, because if you're going to magnify this portion of the lungs, okay, in external respiration, there is an exchange of gases between the blood and the atmosphere. And of course, gases are exchanged by means of diffusion. Now, if you can recall diffusion. So inhaled air contains high amount of oxygen. So oxygen diffuses to the blood, is picked up by the red blood cells. And of course, from cellular metabolism, you have production of carbon dioxide, and its level is very high in the blood, in the plasma of the blood. So again, it diffuses, going out of the system, going out of the lung. So this is external respiration. So again, when you say external respiration, there is an exchange of gases between the atmosphere and our blood. Okay. Now, another type of respiration, so after oxygenation, that's the purpose of why our blood goes to the lungs. So for blood to be oxygenated. So after being oxygenated, blood now, oxygenated blood, okay, travels back to the heart. And when the ventricles pump, so oxygenated blood now is distributed to the body parts. Okay, so at the region of tissues, we have the other type of respiration, which is the internal respiration. So it's called internal respiration because this time you have an exchange of gases between the blood and the body cells or the tissues of the body. Okay, so again, since blood is oxygenated, so it contains high levels of oxygen, and oxygen diffuses to the body cells. And as a result of cellular respiration, so carbon dioxide is again produced by the body cells, and it now diffuses going to the blood. Okay, that's why this is called an indirect type of respiration because there are two phases. The organism, okay, does not directly exchange gases with the environment. Okay. Okay, now in terms of characteristics of a good respiratory organ, so there are several characteristics. So one, okay, a good respiratory organ should be thin, with moist surface. So being thin, it means that gases can easily diffuse across the membrane, across the alveoli, and being moist, if you can recall our discussion of the digestive system, so I posted a question there. So when is the time that you are tasting food? Like for example, when you're eating pulburon. So we said, kapag nalawayan na, di ba, natunaw na ng tubig sa laway ang mga iba't ibang mga chemicals sa pagkain, doon siya nalalasahan. Okay? So the same is true with the respiratory system. So before gases can be exchanged, they have to be first dissolved in water. So a good respiratory organ should have a moist surface. Okay? So another characteristic, it should have a large surface area, of course, for more gases to be exchanged. Another, it should be highly vascular. When you say highly vascular, it should have a very good blood supply because again, no, blood is the one picking up oxygen and distributing oxygen to the body parts, and it's also capable of carrying the carbon dioxide, okay, that is now being released from the body. Okay, another, it should be highly elastic, of course, no? Being highly elastic, meaning it can have a larger surface area so that it can facilitate exchange of more gases. And of course, it should be permeable. It should be passable to gases. That's why a good respiratory organ is thin, okay? So, and if you're going to note these characteristics, now they are all characteristics of our lungs, being our primary organ of respiration. Of course, when we talk of other respiratory structures of other animals, so we have the invertebrates, invertebrate respiratory structures. So for protists, for protozoa, for unicellular organisms, of course, they don't have the respiratory system. So their membrane, okay, their cell membrane also acts as their organ of respiration. And like you've seen earlier, no, this organism now exhibits direct respiration or direct exchange of gases between the atmosphere, okay, and the organism. Now, another respiratory structure for higher invertebrates like the cnidarians. Again, cnidarians are stinging animals. You have jellyfishes, sea anemones. Okay, you have here a hydra, no? Also for different sorts of worms, you have flatworms and earthworms. So a single layer, okay, of cells covering them. So that's the epidermis. It also acts as their respiratory structure. If you can still recall our discussion of the integumentary system, the epidermis is also their integument. Now, at the same time, it's also their respiratory structure. So there is, again, a direct exchange of gases between the organism and the environment. And as you can see, if you have flatworms, okay, so they have, the reason for them being flat is that they should have a great surface area, okay, for them to get more oxygen from the environment, okay? Now, among the invertebrates, the arthropods, okay, they have the most sophisticated or they have the most efficient respiratory system, okay? So they have this tracheal system. Now, if you're going to examine the abdomen of an ant, okay, and a grasshopper, okay, so you would see that there are holes or pores. Okay, may mga butases ulit. Yun naman yung term ko na butases. So if you're going to magnify this part, so a hole or a pore is called the spiracle. And the spiracle or this opening leads to a tube. Okay, that's termed the trachea. Okay, and the trachea, okay, it further branches to form smaller tracheoles. And tracheoles, they further branch to become smaller structures. And as you could see, okay, in this figure, okay, the tracheoles, okay, they terminate inside the cell. So the tracheoles, no, they can pierce through the cell membrane and they can terminate near the mitochondria, okay? So the tracheal system is a very efficient system, okay, in delivering oxygen, okay, directly from the atmosphere going to the cell, going to the mitochondria. Because again, the mitochondria are responsible for ATP production. So that's why scientists say that the tracheal system is solely responsible for the delivery of oxygen and removal of carbon dioxide from the body of the arthropod. Okay, so the circulatory system has no contribution to gas exchange. Okay, and it's very important to note that, of course, okay, insects, most of them have wings. Okay, and the wings, they are utilized all the time. And of course, so in order to move their wings, muscular contraction is needed. Okay, so because of the tracheal system, again, no oxygen is directly delivered from the outside going to the muscle cells. Okay, that's why they can always use their wings. Okay. Now, for the vertebrate respiratory structures, so first we have for the amphibians. Okay, the amphibians, they are called amphibians again because amphi meaning dual, no? When you say amphi, yeah, it means dual, so they can live both on land and in water. Okay, so on land, they are using their lungs, okay, and their skin, no? That's why the skin is always moist. So wag kayong madidiri, sabihin niya, iki kadiri, lagi na lang basa ang balat ng palaka. Okay, kasi ginagamit nila yung panghinga, no? But underwater, of course, they cannot open their mouth. Okay, they are going to drown also. So they utilize their skin, okay, in breathing underwater. So again, on land, they use they use their lungs, no, they use their skin, and they use their bucopharyngeal membrane. Okay, so that's the mucous membrane covering their mouth and their pharynx. Okay, so they utilize three structures for breathing. The bucopharyngeal membrane, okay, you have the skin, and then you have the lungs. Okay, that's why you don't see frogs bathing under the sun during summertime, no? Because when the skin dries, the frog can die. Okay? So talagang, and sabi natin, no, when we discuss the adaptation, that animals, they seek suitable environment for them to survive. So an example are the amphibians. So they seek suitable environment. So they burrow themselves. Okay, under the ground, they always go to moist areas, no, because they have to retain their skin, no, the skin's moisture. Okay. Now another respiratory structures are the gills, and aquatic organisms have gills. Okay, a very good example is of course the fish. Okay, so it says here that ventilation is actually ventilation or breathing. No? So another term for breathing is ventilation. Okay, so ventilation is carried out, okay, when the mouth is open and the opercula are closed. No? So what happens now? What happens to a fish when it breathes or when it ventilates? So the mouth opens. Okay, when the mouth is open, the gill covers, yung dito, no? Yung pangtakip sa hasang. So the gill covers or the opercula, they are closed. So when the mouth is open, the opercula are closed, so water is drawn going to the mouth. And water now passes the pharynx. Okay? And when the mouth closes, the opercula, they now open. Okay? And water from the pharynx, okay, escapes now or passes through the gill slits. Ito. Okay? Because the gills are actually extensions of the pharynx. Okay? So from the, okay, so again from the mouth, okay, to the pharynx. So when the mouth is closed and the opercula are open, so water now passes in between the gill slits. Okay? And if you're going to note the gill arch, so ito, so a gill arch contains gill filaments. And if you're going to magnify one gill filament, okay, there are so many gill plates. Okay, so we call them the lamellae. And of course, the presence of the gill filaments, the presence of the gill filaments and the lamellae, again, no, they increase surface area so that more gases can be exchanged. Okay, so a very important feature of fish ventilation is that, okay, the fish, okay, they engage in the counter current exchange of gases. Okay, so when you say counter current exchange, so water, okay, and blood, they move in opposite direction. Okay, so this ensures that, okay, blood flow, okay, would always, or blood, no, would always communicate with water. So what happens to the percentage of dissolved oxygen? So it says here, no? So from water, you have 100, okay? Sa blood, you have 90, then 70, 60, 40, 30, 15, 5. So it means that as long as blood, okay, can communicate with water, no, it can pick up the dissolved oxygen. Okay, because of course, no, compared to air, dissolved oxygen is very less, diba? So water contains very less dissolved oxygen, unlike air. So pure air yun eh, no? So this counter current mechanism, okay, ensures that 80 to 90% of dissolved oxygen is now picked up by the blood. Okay, and blood, of course, releases carbon dioxide. Okay, so that's the importance of the counter current flow or the counter current mechanism exhibited by fishes. So when you see fish doing this, hindi naman talaga silang ngumunguya. They don't chew, no? But they're actually breathing. Okay, they open their mouth, they close their opercula, they draw in water, they open their opercula, and water flows in between the gill slits, and they pick up oxygen. Okay, that's why when your mothers would ask you to go to markets and buy fish, how would you know whether the fish is fresh or not? Mapula mata. Hindi. Dapat mapula ang hasang o mapula yung gills. No? So the red color indicates that blood is oxygenated. So it means the fish has just died or the fish is still alive kung talagang pulang-pula yung hasang. Huwag pula yung mata kasi ibig sabihin bilasana yon, no? So when you open or when you lift the opercula, okay, titingnan si hasang at maitim na yan, nagdedecay na, ibig sabihin sobrang tagal nang namatay ang isdang yan. So hindi na siya fresh. Okay? So yun. So ngayon marunong na kayo mamalengke ng isda. Okay? Okay. So another structure, of course, for other terrestrial animals, so we are engaging in the tidal ventilation. Okay? So when you say tidal ventilation, so air flows in and out of the lungs via the same route. Okay, isa lang ang dinadaanan, no? So from the nose, going to the pharynx, going to the larynx, going to the trachea. Okay, running out of time na lang. Going to the lungs. Okay, and then from the lungs and then out. And this is said to be a not so very efficient way of ventilation because there is partial mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated air. Okay? Unlike the birds. So the birds are said to be the most efficient breathers. Okay, because they engage in the one-way ventilation system. Okay? So when you say one-way ventilation system, there is no mixture of oxygenated and deoxygenated air now because air now flows in only one pathway. Okay? So when the bird breathes, so from the nose to the pharynx to the larynx, and then you have trachea, so oxygenated blood goes to the posterior air sacs. So red means there is oxygen. And then from the posterior air sacs, air now goes to the lungs. There is now exchange of gases. So after exchange of gases, air now goes to the anterior air sacs, no? Anterior air sacs, and then eventually out. Okay, so here, there is no mixture of oxygenated and deoxygenated gas. Okay, because you have a good flow. You have air flows along one route. Okay, unlike in other vertebrates, kung ano yung pinasukan niya, yun din ang kanyang dadaanan, no? And it says here, because of the one-way ventilation system, okay, there is always higher partial pressure of oxygen with each breath. Okay? Since magkaiba sila ng dinadaanan, no? When you say partial pressure, that's the pressure that a gas exerts in a mixture. So when the bird breathes, okay, it always gets, okay, high pressure of oxygen. Okay? With each breath. So hanggang basta hihinga siya, mataas ang oxygen kasi iba naman ang dinadaanan ng the oxygenated air palabas. Okay? That's why they are considered to be the most efficient breathers. Okay? Now, for the human respiratory system, okay, first we have here the mali, no? It's anatomical. Okay, anatomical divisions. Okay, so what are the two anatomical divisions of the system? So you have the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. Okay, the upper respiratory tract starts from the nose. Okay, of course, going to the nasal cavity. Okay, going to the pharynx. Going to the larynx. Okay, going to the trachea. No? Until structures above the vocal cords. Okay, so those are the components of the upper respiratory tract. So again, from the nose to the nasal cavity to the pharynx. Okay, you have the nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx, and then the upper part of the larynx, okay? So before the true vocal cord. So hanggang doon ang upper respiratory tract. Kaya meron tayong upper respiratory tract infection. So URTI, example, you have colds, diba? You have pharyngitis, no? So they are upper respiratory tract infections or inflammations. Now below the vocal cords, okay, so you have the vocal cords, you have portion of the larynx, you have the trachea, you have the bronchi, you have the lungs. So they constitute the lower respiratory tract. Okay, so upper and lower respiratory tract. Now, okay, now let's try to see the pathway of air, okay, from the outside until it reaches our lungs. And as air passes along the pathway, the respiratory pathway, what happens to air? Okay, so when we inhale, okay, when we breathe, so air now passes, okay, through the nostril, okay, or the nares. Okay, you have the external nares. Or sa atin, external nares. Okay, so whatever, no, as long as you're comfortable pronouncing it. Okay, so from the external nares, air now goes to the nasal cavity. Okay, and then air now enters the system via the posterior nasal aperture. So an aperture is again an opening. So posterior likod, nasal area, aperture opening. Or we also call this the choanae. Okay? So ito yung spelling niya. Choana, singular. Okay, choanae, plural. Okay? So yun, na? I'm going to get the... Hindi ko makuha yung pointer. Isa pa. Wala. Tubi ang lumalabas. Anyway, na? No, wait lang. I have to get the pointer. Okay. So from the external layers again, so air goes to the nasal cavity until the choanae. Okay, and then goes to the pharynx. Okay. So question, what happens to air as it passes inside or as it passes along the length of the nasal cavity? So one, air is warmed. That's why during very cold times, now when you breathe, you can see the moisture. Okay? So air is warm. Air is moistened. Kaya kita rin yung hangin. Diba? So when you breathe, when you exhale, so you can feel that the air that you're exhaling is warm. Okay? It's humidified. It's moistened. Okay? It's filtered of dust and debris because the membrane, no? Our membrane The nasal cavity and the mucous membrane, it's lined with mucus. So mucus also traps particles and dust. And we have here the presence of tonsils. Ito, we have the pharyngeal tonsils and the palatine tonsils. They are also strategically positioned to filter dust, debris, and other pathogens that might enter the system. Okay? And air is now sampled for odor. So, yan. So we say that when air enters the nares, so four things happen no, inside the nasal cavity. Four things happen to air. So it's humidified or moistened, it's warmed, okay, it's filtered, and it's sampled for odor. Okay? And then, from the nasal cavity, air now exits the, sorry, not exits, but enters the choanae, going into the nasopharynx. And then we have the oropharynx. And then we have the laryngopharynx. Okay, until the larynx. Okay, so we go now to the larynx or to the voice box. Okay, so we are now here at the larynx, no? The larynx or the voice box. Okay, and you can see here the front view, the side view, and the top view of the larynx or the voice box. Okay, check. Can you see the arrow again? Please use the chat. Can you see the arrow? Yes po. Okay. Sige. Okay. So again, you have here the front view, the side view, the lateral view, okay, and the top view of the larynx. Trying to see the wall of the larynx, it's made up of cartilages, okay? So the biggest cartilage is the thyroid cartilage. Okay, and you can actually palpate the laryngeal prominence or the Adam's apple. So you can palpate this part of your larynx. Thus you can palpate the laryngeal prominence. So that's the Adam's apple. Okay, in layman's term, that's the Adam's apple. Of course, all of us have Adam's apple, but in males, the Adam's apple is significantly larger than females. Now, because we said in the discussion that the development of cartilages is influenced by the male hormones. So that's why, of course, they have larger body builds and they have larger cartilages. Okay, and that's also the reason why they have deeper voices, because the vocal cords are also thicker in males. And it's thinner in females. Just like the strings of a guitar. Di ba pag makapal ang string ng guitar, mababa ang sound. Pero pag manipis ang string ng guitar, mataas din ang pitch o ang sound. So ganun din. No? Okay. Another very important cartilage is the cricoid cartilage. No? And this is a very important landmark for tracheostomy. Okay? I'll try to annotate again. No? So it's a very important landmark for tracheostomy. Okay, when you say tracheostomy, it's a procedure for making an emergency pathway when the person cannot breathe. Yung binubutasan dito, no? And the cricoid cartilage is it's a very important landmark. Again, now this is a very important landmark in tracheostomy because the physician palpates the thyroid, and then you have here ito a space, ito yon. Tapos you have the cricoid cartilage. And the airway is here. So binubutas to, o ito. Okay? So that's a very important procedure. Now, tracheostomy is a very important procedure for making an emergency airway. Okay? Now, look at this cartilage. Ito. So this is the epiglottis. In the discussion of your types of tissue, the epiglottis is a type of elastic cartilage. Okay? Whereas the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage, they are hyaline cartilages. And of course, being the voice box, the wall, should be made up of these cartilages in order to for them to serve as the framework, no, to really make or to really keep the larynx open, no? So in order to prevent blockage. So pag may block kasi yan, so hindi tayo makakahina, no? Now, when nawala ulit. Okay. When we swallow, we say that the glottis closes and the epiglottis closes the glottis. So I would want you to imagine our toilet bowl. So yung pinakabutas ng toilet bowl, siya yung glottis. Tapos yung pinaka-toilet seat, meron siyang pinaka-flap, di ba? So imagine that as the epiglottis. Okay? So when we swallow again, the glottis closes, the opening closes, and the epiglottis covers the glottis. So that's to separate breathing and swallowing. So when we breathe, of course, the glottis opens. Okay? And air now passes the larynx or the voice box, going to the next segment, which is the trachea. Okay? You don't pronounce this as trachea, but trachea. That's why we say tracheal system. No? So, a trachea, this is our windpipe. No? Layman's term, windpipe. And it's a tube. Okay? And the tube is supported by incomplete C-shaped cartilages. Okay? And being cartilages, of course, they maintain they serve as a structure because the airway should be kept open. Okay? So dapat lagi siyang bukas, laging walang bara. Naririnig niyo yung pusa namin, ang ingay, no? Sige, don't mind Yumi. Si Yumi yun eh. Okay. Now, the trachea again is supported by incomplete C-shaped cartilages. Okay? So, I would like you to imagine this is the front view of the trachea. You have here the cartilage. So, you have here the opening. Okay, why is the trachea supported with C-shaped cartilages? So, what can you see at the back of the trachea? So, you have there the esophagus. Diba? And when the esophagus, when bolus, okay, passes inside the esophagus, it expands. So the presence of the C-shaped cartilage, now incomplete, allows also expansion of the trachea, okay? Ano naman yan eh, sarado. Meron siyang connective tissue, but it can widen, no? When bolus passes inside the esophagus. So again, that prevents us from choking, okay? Now from the trachea, okay, it has two branches. You have the bronchi. Okay, so you have the primary bronchi. So you have the right primary bronchus and the left primary bronchus because they supply each lung. Okay, so the right primary bronchus supplies air to the right lung and the left to the left lung. Okay, so the primary bronchus further divides to become the secondary. Before that, they say when a kid, okay, accidentally inhales or aspirates something, most likely, where can you find the aspirated object? Would it go to the right lung or would it go to the left lung? No, it goes to the right lung, usually, no? Because comparing the primary bronchi, the right primary bronchi has a larger diameter and it is more vertical compared to the left primary bronchi. So pag may nahulog doon, no, mas malaki ang butas ng kanan, tapos mas vertical siya, yung isa ay kung vertical, yung isa ay mas horizontal, so mas shoot siya doon sa kanan. Okay? So most likely doon nakikita. So anyway, no? Now the primary bronchi, they now further divide to become the secondary bronchi. So the secondary or the lobar, okay, bronchi. Singular bronchus, ha? So there are three secondary bronchi because there are three lobes. No, the right lung, okay, has three lobes. Okay, you have the superior, the middle, and the inferior lobe. Whereas the left lung has two lobes. So it has two secondary bronchi or two secondary or the lobar bronchi. Okay? Now, a secondary bronchus further divides to become the tertiary, okay? Tertiary bronchi. Or we call them the segmental bronchi. Why? Because each segmental bronchus supplies a specific bronchopulmonary segment. Kaya tinatawag silang segmental. So, for example, if you have the superior lobe of the right lung, it has 1, 2, 3 bronchopulmonary segments. So, it has 3, okay, tertiary or segmental bronchi. Okay? So, you have the middle, it has 2, 1, 2. You have the inferior lobe, you have 1, 2, 3. Okay, for the left lung, for the superior lobe, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. For the inferior lobe, you have 1, 2, 3. Okay? So that's also how to count the number of tertiary or segmental bronchi. Okay? So again, so primary, and then you have secondary, okay, further branching to become the tertiary. And if you look at the tertiary bronchus, okay, it further divides to become smaller bronchioles. Okay? And the bronchioles, okay, they would further branch, forming terminal bronchioles. Okay? So ito yon, no? So you have the bronchiole. So from primary to secondary to tertiary to bronchiole. Okay? And then the bronchiole further divides to become the terminal bronchioles. So each terminal bronchiole further divides to become the respiratory bronchioles. Okay, and each respiratory bronchiole further divides to become the alveolar ducts. Okay, which now convey air going to the air sac or to the alveolus. Okay, now which comes, okay, so in terms of functional division, so we said in terms of anatomical division, you have the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. Now, in terms of functional division, you have the conducting portion and the respiratory portion. Okay? So from the nose to the pharynx, to the larynx, to the trachea, to the primary, secondary, tertiary, bronchiole, and terminal bronchiole. So hanggang dito sa terminal bronchiole. Okay, so that's the conducting part of the respiratory system. Okay? Conducting because these portions only conduct air. Diba? Tagadala lang sila ng hangin. But starting from the respiratory bronchiole to the alveolar duct and to the alveoli, so ito, no, they constitute the respiratory portion of the respiratory system. So again, two functional divisions. You have the conducting portion from the nose going to the terminal bronchiole, and then from the respiratory bronchiole to the alveolus, you have the conducting portion. Okay? The respiratory portion. So it's called respiratory because it's where gas exchange happens. Okay? So exchange can happen as early as the respiratory bronchial part. Okay? So dyan pa lang meron na raw pagpapalitan ng hangin. Okay? Now, if you can remember, a good characteristic or a characteristic of a good respiratory organ is being highly vascular. So if you're seeing the electron micrograph of portions of the lungs, you see that it's very vascular. You have a lot of blood vessels. Okay? And the blood vessels are very important, of course, in the transport of gases. Okay? Now, the alveoli, okay, the air sacs are said to be the functional units of the respiratory system. So the alveolus or the air sac is the functional unit. No? And if you're going to count the number of alveoli, we have approximately 300 million alveoli, okay, in our lungs. Now with an area of 50 to 70 square meters. So that's the area equivalent to the area of a badminton court. Okay? I forgot to tell you when we discussed the digestive. The small intestine, no, has a surface area equivalent to a tennis court. ito naman, so may tennis court na tayo sa intestine, meron pa tayong badminton court sa ating lungs. No? It only goes to show that the lungs has a very large surface area. Okay, so that it can facilitate exchange of gases. Because remember, in the absence of oxygen, deads. Diba? Kasi oxygen is needed in cell respiration. Okay? So ito, no, you have here a view of the alveolus. So it contains populations of cells. You have the type 1. Okay, the type 1 are the epithelial cells. Okay, the type 2, they are the surfactant secreting cells. No, they keep the alveolus moist because sabi natin, no, a good characteristic of an organ, respiratory organ, it should be moist. And another population, you have the alveolar macrophages. So they are the resident macrophages in the lungs. So if you can still recall, okay, in the skin, we have the Langerhans. In bones, we have the osteoclast. Now in the lungs, we have the alveolar macrophages. So they're responsible for protecting the lungs, no? From bacterial invasion, okay, phagocytosis of dead cells, etc., etc. Okay, so sila ang security guard naman ng mga alveoli natin. Okay? Now, what about the lungs? Okay, so we said that we have two lungs. Okay, so we have the right lung and the left lung. The right lung has 3 lobes. You have the superior, middle, and the inferior lobes. And the left lung has 2. You have the superior and the inferior lobes. Okay? And it is now covered by a membrane known as the pleura. Wala nakalagay, no? So pleura. P-L-U-R-A. Pleura. Okay? That's why when you say pleural cavities, they pertain to the cavities of the lungs. Okay? And looking at the left lung, there is a space, no? There is the cardiac notch. Okay, cardiac notch. So from the term cardiac notch, it now houses the heart. That's why the heart is at the center of the body. Okay? It's at the center of the body, but the apex actually points to the left part. No, it's because of this pocket. No, it's because of this notch housing the heart. Okay? So again, that's for the lungs. Now, before that, no, I forgot to mention, if you're going to look at our trachea and the bronchi, no, and the branches, you would see that the respiratory tract is an inverted tree. Diba? Ito yung kanyang stem at ito yung mga branches. Okay? So it's the structure is anonymous to an inverted tree, and the branching means there is now addition, no, of branches to supply air to the different alveoli. Okay? Okay. Now, okay, inside the red blood cells, okay, so we said we have a very important protein, and that's hemoglobin. And this is the structure of hemoglobin, okay? So hemoglobin is a quaternary protein, ba? Pag quaternary protein, you have 2 or more polypeptide chains that are connected to form one large polypeptide, okay? So you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, and then you have 4. So each polypeptide chain has an iron center. Okay? And since you have 4 polypeptide chains, you have 4 iron centers. And each iron center can bind to an oxygen. So meaning, maximally, a hemoglobin protein or a hemoglobin molecule can carry as much as 4 molecules of oxygen. And inside one red blood cell, okay, we have about 250 to 280 million of these red blood cells, of this hemoglobin. So 250 to 280 million times 4 oxygen. That's only for one red blood cell. But how many RBCs are there per microliter of blood? No? You remember microliter, di ba? So you have 1 liter, that's equivalent to 1,000 ml. You get 1 ml, then you divide that into 1,000 divisions. You get 1 over 1,000 ml, so that's 1 microliter. Okay? And 1 microliter can contain 4 to 6 million red blood cells. Diba? And sabi natin, for each red blood cell, it contains 250 to 280 million hemoglobin times 4. Okay? That's why hemoglobin is a very important protein because it's very important in carrying oxygen. Not only oxygen, but also carbon dioxide. Okay? So, hemoglobin can combine with oxygen, okay, to form oxyhemoglobin, and it can also combine with carbon dioxide to form carbaminohemoglobin. Okay? So you have oxyhemoglobin and carbaminohemoglobin. Because these terms are very important in this step. Sabihin ako, ano naman yan, ma'am, no? So it shows us how carbon dioxide is transported, okay, from the cell, going to the tissue, going to the blood, and then from the blood, how carbon dioxide is now exhaled. Okay? So, simula nung siya ay ginawa, hanggang siya ay ilabas. So, titingnan natin, no? Okay. So, it says here, I'll just move the controls. Okay. So, you have here, actually, this shows your cell, interstitial fluid, capillary wall, plasma, erythrocytes. Okay, it shows you what type of respiration. It says they're in tissue capillaries. So this is internal respiration. No? There is now an exchange of gases between the cell and the blood. But it only shows you the pathway of carbon dioxide. Okay? And it shows you the pathway of the release of carbon dioxide. Okay? It says here, so our body cells, as a result of cellular respiration, they produce carbon dioxide. Okay? So carbon dioxide now diffuses to the interstitial fluid or to the tissue fluid. It's dissolved. Sabi natin, di ba? So gases would have to be first dissolved in water before they are transported across the membrane. So this is transportation or movement across the membrane, across the capillary wall, until carbon dioxide reaches the plasma of the blood. The plasma is the liquid part of the blood. Okay? That's why it flows. And the plasma is, of course, made up of mostly water. Okay? So carbon dioxide now becomes dissolved in water. Okay, and then most of the carbon dioxide or majority of the carbon dioxide enters our red blood cells. Okay, what happens in the red blood cells? So you have 3. Okay, in relation to dissolved oxygen state. No? So some dissolved oxygen remains dissolved inside the dissolved in the liquid part, in the fluid part of the red blood cell. And then some carbon dioxide again combines with hemoglobin to become carbaminohemoglobin. So about 30%. Okay? But 70% of the carbon dioxide, okay, is combined with water, okay, because of the action of carbonic anhydrase to become carbonic acid. Okay? And inside the red blood cells, carbonic acid is immediately split into bicarbonate ions and hydrogen ions. So what happens when you have an increase in the level of hydrogen ions? So what happens with the pH? The pH decreases, diba? And this can cause blood to become acidic, which should not be the case because our blood is slightly basic. It has a pH of 7.35 to 7.45. Okay, so in order to prevent acidity of the blood, the hydrogen ions, they now combine to the globin part. Remember the hemoglobin earlier? Yung may mga polypeptide chains, no? So they combine to the globin part to form reduced hemoglobin. And reduced hemoglobin is very important in maintaining the pH of the blood. No, it maintains 7.35 to 7.45 so that the blood is slightly acidic. Okay? Now, the bicarbonate ions, they now exit the RBCs in exchange for chloride ions. So there is a chloride shift. Okay? Kasi negative ions yan eh, lalabas siya. So, magkakaroon ng imbalance sa charge sa loob ng red blood cells. So, kailangan siyang i-maintain. So, there is a chloride shift. No? So, bicarbonate ions, they now diffuse. And chloride ions, they now, so bicarbonate ions, they diffuse out. And chloride ions, they don't really diffuse, but they utilize, I guess, membranes, no, transport membranes. Okay, but so there is an exchange of bicarbonate ions and chloride ions. Okay, so bicarbonate ions now are carried by the plasma. Okay, so take note in terms of carbon dioxide. Okay, 30% is carried by the red blood cells in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. And 70% is carried by the plasma in the form of bicarbonate ions. Okay? Also, when we discuss the excretory system, you will see that bicarbonate ions are one of the waste products that are also in urine. No? So that's also one way of regulating the carbon dioxide. Okay? Now, so if bicarbonate ions are now dissolved by the plasma of the blood, so the blood circulates, diba? From the tissue, okay, going back to the heart via the veins, okay? And then the blood circulates again in the heart, goes to the lungs, diba? So there we have pulmonary circulation, or that's external respiration, okay? Remaining time 4 minutes, no? So what happens? So there is a reversal in events. Baliktad lang. So again, bicarbonate ions, no, that are carried by the plasma, they now enter the erythrocytes. Again, there is a chloride shift. Okay? And the bicarbonate ions, again, are joined by hydrogen ions from reduced hemoglobin to form carbonic acid. Carbonic acid now splits again into carbon dioxide and water. Again, that's the work of carbonic anhydrase. So when you say anhydrase, it's an enzyme that nothing, no? So it's an enzyme capable of adding and capable of removing water, no? Capable of adding water to carbon dioxide to become carbonic acid, and capable of removing water from carbonic acid to become carbon dioxide. So, yun lang naman ang trabaho niya, no? So, ganun ulit. So, dissolved carbon dioxide now exits the erythrocytes, okay, dissolved in the plasma of the blood, and diffuses, no? So, the gas, they diffuse across the capillary wall, and we give off carbon dioxide. So, that's the fate of carbon dioxide. So, again, no, I would like you to know that 70% of the carbon dioxide, okay, travels via the plasma of the blood as bicarbonate ions, and 30% no, is now carried by the red blood cells. So the red blood cells, they don't only carry oxygen, they also carry 30% of the carbon dioxide. Okay, and it's very important, no, in again the maintenance of the pH of the blood. Okay, so yan. Okay, now we go to pulmonary ventilation. So pulmonary ventilation or breathing. No? So ventilation means breathing. So ventilation is accomplished by an alternation of the inhalation or exhalation. And pulmonary ventilation is an alternation of inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation or inspiration, and exhalation or expiration. No? Hindi yung nakita ko si crush ko, na-inspire ako, iba namang inspiration yun. No? So inspiration meaning inhalation. Okay? So ito. So what happens during inhalation? So let's try to see the figure, the parts of the figure and the parts that they represent. Okay? Then you have here the representation of the vertebral column, our backbone. You have the representation of our ribs. Okay, the red lines, they represent our intercostal muscles. Inter meaning in between, costa meaning ribs. So andito yan, no? Yung binibili nating mga ribs. And then you have here the, yun na. Okay, you have here the, this one represents the lungs. And this red here again represents the diaphragm. So the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles are very important breathing muscles. Okay? So what happens during inhalation or inspiration? Ba? What happens when we inhale? Okay? So normally, when we are not inhaling, the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm, they are relaxed. Okay? When we inhale, what happens to our intercostals and our diaphragm? They contract. Okay? They shorten. Okay? So when the intercostals contract or when they shorten, they pull on the ribs. And the ribs, they go upward. No? And when the diaphragm contracts, it flattens. Because normally, it's dome shape. Okay? When it is relaxed. So the contraction of the intercostals and the diaphragm, okay, they now increase the intrapulmonary volume. Okay? Annotate. Text. Intrapulmonary volume. Okay? So again, increases. Okay. So again, no, the contraction of the intercostals and the diaphragm, okay, increases the intrapulmonary volume. So when you say intrapulmonary volume, so that's the volume inside the lungs. The increase in the intrapulmonary volume, okay, causes a decrease in intrapulmonary pressure. Di ba pag lumalaki yung space at merong hangin sa loob, pag mas malaki na yung space niya, nagagalawan, bumababa ang kanyang pressure kasi mas marami na siyang lugar na pwedeng puntahan. Okay? So this now creates a negative pressure. So it means that you have lesser pressure of air in the lungs compared to the atmospheric pressure. Okay? So the intrapulmonary pressure is lower than the atmospheric pressure. So following the law of diffusion, what happens to air? So it moves from higher to lower concentration. So air from the outside moves into the lungs to equalize pressure. Okay? And this causes our lungs to inflate. Okay? It's like blowing a balloon, di ba? So a balloon increases in size now when you blow air into it. So dito naman baliktad, no? Nauna munang mag-increase ang size ng lungs, no? Increase ng area ng volume ng lungs, kaya pumasok si hangin. Okay? Because again, no, a decrease in the intrapulmonary pressure causes a negative pressure compared to the atmospheric pressure, so air goes now into the lungs, and the lungs, they inflate. Okay? What happens now during expiration or exhalation? Okay, so the opposite happens. So during exhalation or expiration, the opposite happens, no? So the intercostals and the diaphragm, they relax. So the ribs, okay, they now return to their slanting position or they go downward. And the diaphragm assumes its dome shape, and this now causes intrapulmonary volume to decrease. Okay? So decrease in the intrapulmonary volume increases intrapulmonary pressure kasi lumiit na ang space na pwedeng galawan ng hangin. So kung mas maliit yung space, mas magsisiksikan ang hangin doon. So mas tataas ang kanyang pressure. Okay? So it means that the intrapulmonary pressure is higher than the atmospheric pressure. So again, following the law of diffusion, okay, air now moves from the lungs, diba? Because you have here greater pressure compared to the atmospheric pressure. So air now moves out from the lungs, okay? And ventilation is just the alternation of inhalation or inspiration and exhalation or expiration, okay? What about the, okay, ito, no? What about the names of the pulmonary air volumes and capacities? So, yung mga hinihinga natin na hangin, may mga pangalan yan, no? So, if you have here the illustration, it shows you the names. And ito, sa right side, you have here the description. So, first, we have the tidal volume, no? So, when we say tidal volume, so if we conducted the lecture, so I would pick up a volunteer. Kaya lang, wala, online tayo eh. So ako na lang din magde-demonstrate, no? Okay. So when we say tidal volume, excuse me, so this is the amount of air that goes in and out of the lungs during normal or quiet respiration or during normal breathing. So effortless, yan. Okay, kung paano tayo normal na humihinga. So that's the tidal volume. Okay? When you say tidal, because air goes in and out of the lungs. And it's about 500, it's about 500 cc, 500 cubic centimeters of air. Okay? Now, what about the inspiratory reserve volume? Okay, inspiratory reserve volume or the complemental air. Okay? So it's the maximum amount of air that is taken in during the deepest inhalation. So when you're doing your exercise, when you say inhale, inhale. Okay, so that's the inspiratory reserve volume or the complemental air. It's about 3,000 cc. Okay? So, pwede nyo baguhin. Instead of saying inhale, okay, you can say complemental air. Yon, complemental air yon. Okay? So, kung may inspiratory reserve volume, may expiratory reserve volume. Okay? So, ito yon. Expiratory reserve volume. So, that's the amount of air that can be given off during the most forcible expiration or exhalation. So, it's about 1.1 cc. Sorry, 1,100 cc. No? So, if you have tidal air, complemental air, supplemental air. So, yun, no? So, it's like saying inhale, exhale. Complemental air, supplemental air. So, yun. Okay? Now, if you're going to combine tidal volume, okay, with inspiratory reserve volume, with expiratory reserve volume, that's your vital capacity. Okay? That's the vital capacity. So, about 4,000, 3,500 to 4,000 cc. Okay? So, again, tidal air, complemental air, supplemental air. So, that's your vital capacity. Okay? Now, there is another type of air, that's the residual air. Okay? Yung tira-tirahan, di ba? Pag residue, tira-tirahan. So, that's the amount of air, okay, that is given off after the removal of the supplemental air or after the removal of the expiratory reserve volume. So, about 1,000 to 1,200 cc. Okay? So, again, okay, you have tidal air or tidal volume. Then you have complemental air, Then you have supplemental air. Then you have residual air. So may natitira pa. Na? So complemental, supplemental, residual. Okay? Meron pa ulit. Na? Okay. Before the meron pa ulit. So the supplemental air together with the residual air, okay, those constitute your functional residual capacity or your reserved air. Okay? So complemental air, supplemental air, then residual air. So the supplemental and the residual, that's your reserved air. Okay? Meron pa ulit, but wait, there's more. Meron pang minimal air, no? It says here, this is the amount of air that is left in the lungs after the removal of the reserved air or the supplemental and the residual air. Okay? Demo ulit. Okay, you have complemental air, supplemental air, then residual air. Tapos hihinga pa ba? Wala na. Na? Hanggang residual air lang. Okay? Because sabi, no, the lungs are not really devoid of air. So when the bronchioles collapse, okay, so air remains within the bronchioles and the alveoli. So the alveoli should not completely collapse. And that's the minimal air. Yung natitirang hangin sa loob ng mga alveoli natin. Okay? And if we're going to sum all the pulmonary volumes and capacities, we have here the total lung capacity. Okay? So you have tidal air, you have complemental air, you have supplemental air, you have reserved air. So yun. So that's your total lung capacity. Okay? So about 5,800 cc. Okay? Now, last topic. So we have the respiratory rates. So when we talk of rate, okay, respiratory rate, we are counting the number of breaths, okay, per time. In this case, per minute. Okay? And people, depending on the stage, no, or depending on their stages, no, they have different respiratory rates. Okay? So the youngest, they have the highest respiratory rate. So from birth to 6 months, so they have 30 to 60 breaths per minute. After 6 months, 24 to 30. 1 to 5 years old, 20 to 30. 6 to 12 years old, 12 to 20. And over 12 to adults, so we have 14 to 18 breaths per minute. So that's our normal respiratory rate. Okay? So lahat tayo nandito na sa bracket na to, no? Over 12 years old to adults. So you are all adults. So our normal breaths per minute or our normal respiratory rate is 14 to 18. Okay? So when you are being engaged in a physical examination, di ba, the nurse or the nurse, or medtech or kung sino man na health practitioner, okay, he gets the heartbeat. Okay, yung pulse. Di ba? Hinahawakan dito. Usually, per minute lang yun eh. But if you're going to time it, no, they are doing this for 2 minutes. So 1 minute is for counting the number of pulse, and the other minute is for counting the number of breaths. Okay? So that we will not become conscious. So ang akala natin, kinukuha pa o binibilang pa yung tibok ng ating puso o yung ating pulso, pero tinitingnan na kung ilang tayo beses huminga sa 1 minuto. Okay? So ibig sabihin nun, hindi tayo mako-conscious kasi ang alam natin, kinukuha pa yung ating pulse rate. Na? Kasi kung alam natin yon, pwedeng mabago, pwedeng kinukuha niya yung aking respiratory rate, biglang hihinga ako. Kasi hindi ako hihinga. So wala na. No? That would now invalidate the taking of the respiratory rate. No? Now, what about persons experiencing less than normal and more than normal respiratory rate? So halimbawa, in an adult, if you have 14 to 18. So if the person has a respiratory rate of 7 breaths per minute, okay, he or she is experiencing bradypnea. Okay? Wait lang. Annotate. Yan. Bradypnea. Yung isa ay tachypnea. Yung isa ay yan. Tatlo yan. Hindi ko na naman makita. Okay? Okay. So you have here three terms, no? Bradypnea, in some, wait. Okay, you can pronounce this as either bradypnea or bradynia. Okay, tachypnea or tachynia. And then you have apnea or ania. Okay? Nia, pneumo, pertaining to lungs. Okay? Ang likot naman ito. When you say brady, it means low. Tachy means high. A meaning without. Okay, so with very low breaths per minute or slow breathing, very slow breathing, very fast breathing, and no breathing at all. Okay? So bradypnea, actually bradypnea and tachypnea may be caused by illness, by diseases, by bronchitis, so especially for tachypnea, yung mabilis ang paghinga, those who are suffering from pneumonia, di ba? Parang ang bilis-bilis ng hinga. O kaya, if a person has participated in strenuous activities, no? Parang dog, nagpapant, so ganun din. So, depende yan sa condition. Okay? So, ito basta very slow breathing, at ito very fast breathing compared to the normal. Again, in adults, we have 14 to 18 breaths per minute. Okay? Normally, we experience bradypnea when we are sleeping. Diba? So, our respiratory rate is significantly lower than our normal respiratory rate when we are conscious because we are just sleeping. Okay? Ang apnea naman, it may be caused by shock, by seizure, by cardiac arrest. So, when you say it means none. No breathing at all. Okay? Pwedeng unconsciousness, etc. So, depending on the circumstance. Okay? Now, why do you think the younger the person, no, he or she has a faster respiratory rate? Because it might be attributed to the rate of the body's metabolism. Pag mga bata, ang bibilis lumaki. Diba? So it means the cells, no, they need also that very fast supply of oxygen for them to be able to produce ATP. Sa atin kasi usually, ang functions natin na normalize na yan pag over 12 years to adults. Okay, so we have the normal respiratory rates. Okay? Now to end the topic, we have, of course, the different diseases associated with the pulmonary, with the respiratory system. We have the different pulmonary diseases, no? And I guess some are very familiar to you. Okay, you have pneumonia. Okay, so pneumonia is actually caused by bacterial, meron tayong Mycobacterium pneumoniae, no? So it causes, in pneumonia, the alveoli, they are filled with pus and fluid. So it's very, very hard, no, for people with pneumonia to breathe. Okay, so you have cystic fibrosis. So when toxic chemicals like asbestos, so when they are inhaled or when this is inhaled, it can cause formation of fibers, kaya cystic fibrosis. And this can, it says here, no, this can reduce the elasticity of the lungs. And if the elasticity is reduced, of course, we can get the surface area decreases and we can get that enough oxygen, no, that is needed for our respiration. That's why when Taal volcano erupted, no, we are prevented from inhaling the ash, no, because ash contains silicon, and it contains also asbestos. Okay, the same is true with tuberculosis. It's caused by a bacterium. I forgot the name. Okay? So the bacteria, they become encapsulated kaya tinatawag, may mga tubercles na tinatawag. Okay? I forgot the scientific name of the one causing tuberculosis. And then emphysema is the bursting of the alveoli. Okay, it also it's deadly na because again it reduces surface area for gas exchange. Okay, so you have asthma. Asthma is characterized by constriction of the muscles. Meron din kasing muscles yung mga ano natin, bronchi. So it means that the tubes, no, they become narrower. So it's very, very hard for us to breathe. And of course, you have inflammation. So you have bronchitis. No? It may be due to infection, due to an irritant. Okay, again, there is now the production of mucus and pus.